Take the bite. I hear you want to work on water snakes. Whit Gibbons has buttonholed me at the herpetology meetings. Whit is a well-known turtle expert and the director of the Savannah River Ecology Lab, SREL, in Georgia. I met him a few years ago in Ann Arbor when he was a postdoc with Don Tinkle. I explained what I want to do with water snakes, an extension of my work on G-matrix evolution in garter snakes. The first step is to catch a few dozen pregnant females. Well, why don't you work at SREL? I can provide some help and support. This offer is a welcome bolt out of the blue. The southern swamps are the place to catch water snakes, and I could use some help getting into the swing of catching them while avoiding water moccasins, their poisonous lookalikes. The following summer, Whit gives me a crash course on how to find and catch brown water snakes from a small boat. Within a week, I've perfected some additional techniques with the help of 3 University of Georgia graduate students, Mark Mills, Chris Hudson, and Howard Berna, as well as SREL volunteers. Our best hunting ground is the main channel of the Savannah River, the border between South Carolina and Georgia. The brown water snake is the sister species of the diamondback water snake. Both species specialize on catfish. The best hunting time for the brown water snake is between 9 a.m. and noon. We find the snakes sunning on branches and logs, resting and warming up in between their underwater forays for catfish. The Rambo procedure is one of our most successful innovations for catching the snakes. It solves the main problem in catching snakes from a boat, which is vibration. The snakes perch high in the shoreline vegetation so that they can warm up in the sunshine. Any contact with the underlying vegetation causes the snake to drop into the river below. The solution that we have perfected is to ram the bow of the boat into the vegetation at high velocity below the snake so that someone perched on the bow can grab the snake before it can react. This Rambo procedure is successful about half the time. We take turns in the 2 best positions, grabber at the bow and rammer at the stern. The job of the rammer is to run the bow rapidly into the vegetation and then back out, giving the grabber time to grab the snake and disentangle it from the vegetation. On one memorable morning, Tracy Lynch is the grabber and I am the rammer. Tracy is a laboratory technician at SREL who has accepted Whit's offer of paid leave to spend a day helping me catch water snakes. She is petite and, as we discover, fearless. We conduct a Rambo, and Tracy successfully grabs a large water snake. I throw the boat into reverse to back out of the vegetation. As I do so, I can see that the snake is threaded through the railing on the bow and rearing up, swinging its head back and forth with open mouth as it looks for the offending predator. Meanwhile, Tracy, the predator, is grasping the snake by its tail. But I can see that she is beginning to lose her resolve because the snake's tail is slowly slipping between her fingers. "Tracy," I call from the back of the boat, "take the bite." Seconds later, the snake delivers the inevitable bite to Tracy's arm. She holds on and quickly transfers the snake into a bag. We congratulate Tracy on her courage. She rinses the blood off her arm in the river, and we are on our way again. Another useful capture technique is to float up to a water snake and grab it from below. The best approach is from upriver, so that I float with the current towards the target snake with just my head out of the water. The water snakes never react to my approaching head, so long as I don't touch their supporting vegetation. The trick is to float under the snake and then kick and lunge upward, grab the snake and pull it out of the vegetation, and then hold on as I fall back into the water. The procedure gives me a warm glow and it works. We spot 2 large gravid females sunning side by side. I drop up the boat upriver and steer a course so that the current takes me directly beneath them. As I pass under the snakes, I kick and lunge upward. I grab a female with each hand, but as usual, I have to grab whatever part of the snake is available. The females take advantage of the situation, and each of them bites me on the top of the head. Holding on to the snakes, I cross my arms across my chest to secure them as I fall underwater. My boatmates are happy to see me come up to breathe, but they can also see blood cascading over my face from the punctures on my scalp. I explain that I am holding two very angry water snakes underwater and will need some help to get back in the boat. Poison ivy, poison ivy. Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes a creeping around, around. I sing the 1950 song by the Coasters as I am standing up in the boat while the pilot steers it around a huge tree stump that stands 5 feet out of the Savannah River. I am standing so that I can look for pregnant water snakes that may be basking on top of the stump. It's a bit of a balancing act and not an easy task because the snakes make a point of hiding in the poison oak that adorns the top of the stump. Before I grab a snake, I need to make sure that it is not a venomous water moccasin. This crucial discrimination is not easy because only part of the snake may be visible. I have become an expert at telling water snakes from moccasins, no matter what part is showing. Some guesswork is required, and that adds to the tension. To make matters worse, the stumps are infested with fire ants and wasp nests. I sing to lighten the mood. Suddenly I spot a large pregnant snake. I make sure it's a water snake and not a water moccasin, then pluck it out of its hiding spot. As I hold the wriggling snake over my head with one hand and continue my song, I notice that a group of fishermen on the bank are staring at me with their mouths open. I know that I am holding a harmless water snake, but they do not. The local people don't distinguish between harmless and venomous. All water snakes are considered moccasins. I imagine that one of them reports the incident around the dinner table that night. I saw the craziest white guy today in the river singing Poison Ivy and catching moccasins barehanded. Alligators are also a concern on the river. A colleague at SREL tells me that aerial surveys reveal numerous and sometimes very large alligators all along the river. When you boat along the river with an outboard motor, the gators hear you coming and dive underwater so you never see them. The only time we see them on the river banks is when it's raining and they can't hear us coming. But on one occasion, I do encounter a gator in the water. As we boat along, I see a large water snake basking in a bush about 20 yards away on the other side of a small intervening lagoon. The water is too shallow for the boat, so I drop into the water and swim and then crawl towards the snake with just my head out of the water. Moving forward in the shallow water, I crawl over a large solid object that I mistake for a submerged log. Simultaneously, something rapidly moves out from under me, making a huge splash. What the hell was that? Someone shouts from the boat. Nothing much, I reply. I just crawled over an alligator. Back at my motel room by early afternoon, I strip off my wet clothes, turn off the lights, turn up the air conditioning, and get in bed to take a nap. A lovely day on the river, I think to myself as I fall asleep.